So this is what so far we have discussed about the guys about the load testing and stress testing with respect to the performance one. You got my point. Now, any doubts, any confusions you have over here,
No,
Ali?
this part seems pretty
No,
straightforward.
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Because as when you work as a tester, right, you are not that much concerned about the performance testing. To be honest, in the big application, they will definitely hire someone who are dedicatedly work on the performance testing, security testing, right? Again, security testing is something that you no need to concern that much. Yeah, what part you need to concern in term of the security testing, I will just say is if they have put the valid let's keep put it on the board about security testing as well, so it will be in your mind, right? So the
Okay,
security.
you keep on cutting up.
Yeah, same over here.
Okay.
I like hear your echo. I don't know what's going on with this.
No, now if you are getting the maximum votes from Ali as well, so it's something wrong from my side. You can see my
Oh, now
screen.
okay, maximum vote now.
Yeah.
You didn't believe me earlier when it was just me.
Okay, let me just stop sharing and share it again, right? It may be my, yeah, it may be that video is getting downloaded, the previous session video is getting downloaded, right? So I'm just going to stop my sharing. Just hold on, and I will reshare it again, right? And now it seems to be fine because that video just finished downloading. It may be
Oh,
because of
okay.
that it's taking the my memory, right? And that's the performance was not good. This guys,
Still a little messed up.
yeah, this
Good
is a
example.
real time example. My computer was doing multiple things, and that's the reason my internet got slow, and you face the performance issue, right?
So is that stress testing or is that like load testing?
I will just say it's a normal performance testing.
Okay.
Okay, now we have 6 user. If you have 16 user, then it's gonna be the load and stress testing. Okay, so guys, about the security testing, right? What points you need to concern about the security testing when you do the security testing of any application, right? So first of all, you want to make sure couple of things, right? The first things, it should going to be accessed by only authenticated person or user, right? So what for that, what you will have, I think I told you guys, right? For to achieve these things, what we normally have, right? Hamid, can you just let me know what is the basic security testing you can see on any application?
Passwords.
Yeah, what you can see the security testing on normal application,
Um,
how you can say okay this application is secure.
oh. mm,
Talha, do you have any idea?
Um,
Encryption. Encryption.
Yeah, that is the case, the encryption, but it
Yeah.
mainly used when we store some data, the sensitive data like the mobile or I will just say the password of the users and all those things, right? But what is
Right.
the
Right.
basic you can see it's come on your screen when you start using any application? Let's suppose if you want to use the LinkedIn, right? What is the
Yeah.
first things will come on LinkedIn?
Their username and password, like their credentials to
Exactly.
log in.
Exactly. So I will just say how we can achieve, okay, this person is authenticated for this application or not. The basic things we will do with their username and password combination, right? So for that, what we will ask, whenever any user want to access our application, they need to first sign up, right? Sign up. They have to validate their identity. I will just say initially when before 3 to 4 years, right? The Facebook, the LinkedIn, and every big application do not authenticate the user email address. They do not authenticate the user mobile number, right? So there are many. You also have here. There are many fake account has been created on LinkedIn, on Facebook, right? So to make that process very strict, what they have started this one. OTP or verification code, or sometimes they send the verification link, right? Verification link to validate your email address. You got my point. I think you all of us will face this situation when we use any application on the first time. We need to validate our URL, we need to validate our email address as well, right? They give us a OTP on our mobile number, then we need to enter that OTP. Again, that OTP will have criteria that gonna expire in 16 seconds, right?
What
The
does
email,
OTP stand for?
yeah, email verification link gonna expire in 10 minutes, right? So after 10 minutes it says invalid link.
Ankit, what does OTP stand for?
One time password.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you do any have you created the Google Voice account?
Mm-hmm.
Khawla, have you
Yeah.
created? Yeah,
Yes,
so
I did.
once you finish, right, has it asked to link with your mobile number?
Yeah, it sends a verification code attached
Yeah,
to
yeah, that is
my
that is
my
called
phone number.
OTP. Yeah, that is
Oh,
called OTP. One time password is coming to your phone, and it will be remain validate for certain amount of time, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
enter the same password after 1 hour, it says it's an invalid password. You got my point. So this is
Mm-hmm.
the way of to stick your security of the application. You got my point. This is how you can streak your the quality of your application and nobody else, like. So from this what will happen, like Ali can only see his stuffs when he use his username and password, right? I can see only my stuffs when I will log in with my username and my password to my account, right? So that is called the security. This is the basic stuffs we normally test as a web developer, right? If the OTP is coming on the respective time or not, if your user is getting the verification email or not. So all those things you need to concern. You got my point. Second things I will just say, as Hamid says, right? Whenever the any sensitive data is getting stored into database, right? Database table, right? Or in application URL that need to be encrypted in some format. And now this is the main concern for the healthcare application, guys. Healthcare application, then the finance or banking application, right? Where you store your when you do the online banking, right? You are entering your CVV code, or you are entering some sensitive information related to your bank account, right? So all those information should not got stored into the database, right? If, let's suppose if you're buying something on ebay.com, right? So on the payment page they are asking you, okay, please enter your card detail or your internet banking detail, right? So at that time you are typing the correct detail and they authenticate that correct detail, right? They are allowed to authenticate, but they are not allowed to save those information at their side, right? Otherwise what will happen, if suppose if I am the hacker, right? I want to hack anybody's account. So what I will do, I will create one e-commerce website and I will put my stuffs very low price, right? So people will come and they will gonna buy everything, right? So they will put their payment detail for me, and once they put the payment detail for me, I will take that payment detail and I will do the dummy transaction from another website. So that is also very big loophole for the security, right? And that's the reason people says never share your internet your net banking credential or your bank information to any other, right? So this is very sensitive data, and whenever we work on any application, right, we need to store that information to any of our database. We need to make sure we encrypt. What is encryption, guys? There are many algorithms to do the encryption. Let's suppose if I'm storing my password, if I'm setting my password as Ankit at the rate 123, right? So in database it's not going to save as Sam, it is Ankit at the rate 123. It's going to generate one random string with some special character and something like that. You got my point. This is called encryption. This is the encrypted format, and this is what going to store in the database. So let's suppose if any employee or developer is want to see your password, user password, they cannot see the user password. They can see this format. And this is the part of development they do normally to make sure the user information is user information is remained safe and secure from other, right? So this is the 2 point. If you just concerned about these 2 points is more than enough as a part of security testing, because to do the advanced level of security testing, most of the company hire, right, the pen test and all other big company, so they will do the security testing from the hacker point of view as well. They have the hackers and they will try to crack your application, they will try to break your applications. So this is again as a performance testing, right? I told you the performance tester, they have the detailed role in the testing field. The same go with the security tester. You will find a dedicated security tester who only do the security testing. So this is again one of the detailed field if you want to go. But as a working as a web or Windows automation engineer, right, which is most of the demand in the market, you need to only concern about these things. You got my point? Are we clear?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah, perfect. That's good. So let's we go to the our. This is all about the non-functional testing. We need to talk. This is the major things you need to concern about the load. The non-functional testing. I will just say, guys, right? Then the next topics will be how we can do the test planning, right? Now this is very much important concept when you work on the documentation, guys, right? The test documentation. Now we are jumping into the test documentation. What kind of documentation are involved when you become the software tester, right? So first things will come in your mind will be test planning, and for that what we will do, we will create the test plan document, guys, right? Test plan document. Now in the interview they're going to ask you, okay, have you created test plan? So you normally says based on your experience. Let's suppose if you are showing the experience more than 7 or 6 years, right? You always says, yeah, I am aware about the test plan and how to create the test plan for any application, right? So that is the one of the things you need to tell. If you are a fresher level, right, if you like, this is for Talha, for you, right? For 3 to 4 years of experience, you can ignore these questions by saying, no, mainly my QA lead create the test plan documentation, but I am aware about what information we will have in the test plan, right? For Hamid, for you, they will definitely says, okay, describe me your latest test plan, because we're gonna put the maximum experience for you, right? So they should demand you as a senior person, right? So you should be aware about these things, because planning the test and all those things is done by the senior. It's done by the QA manager, QA lead, or the person who is gonna handle the team. Okay. So what is test plan? So test plan is a document which contains many information, right? I will just say many information. Then I will just say it's a Bible, or it's a book that we're gonna use throughout our project testing, right? It will contain all the information. The test plan will contain all the information about the project that we're gonna test it, right? So it says test strategy, the objective of testing, the scheduling, estimations, deliverables, what resource we require to do the testing, and everything is going to be stored into the test plan, right? Why we have a test plan? The test plan help us to determine the effort we required to achieve the quality on the application, right? What efforts we required, what things we required to do the our stuffs, right? Let's suppose the real time example, right? If you want to make pizza at your home, right, so you have to plan something. So what you will plan? Okay, what like the tool, sorry, not the tools, what things we required? We required cheese, we required these stuffs, we required sauce and all those things, right? So all those things you are planning to achieve something. So over here we are creating the test plan to achieve the better quality in the application. You got my point?
Hmm.
Guys, are you following, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now there are different steps or different sections that are available in the test plan, right? This is one of the interview questions they're gonna ask you. How your test plan will look like? Can you describe your test plan, right? So you always says, yeah. To create the test plan, we need to follow with the certain steps, which is I follow in my QA role. I will first analyze the product, right? When I just says analyze the product, that means you can analyze the applications requirement, right? So let's we go with over here, and again we will have something on our board. So I will just say the test plan, right? Test planning can be done by test plan, right? So test planning can be done by test plan. Now what is test plan? Test plan is a document which contain all the basic information, right? What is the strategy we're gonna use? What are the different testing types we're gonna do on this particular project, right? And this is for the specific to the project. Every project will have test plan. You got my point. Every project will have a test plan. So this is specific to the project only, right? This is specific to the project only. Now what information we will have in the test plan, guys? What are the different sections we have in the test plan? So test plan, we do first things, analyze the product, right? Analyze the product, or you can also say the analyze the application requirement, right? You understand the requirement. So guys, everything is concerned about the requirement, right? You always make sure everything is only concerned with the requirement. That's the reason from our first session I always focus the requirement is the key on software. If you understand the requirement clearly, you can do the developer can do their stuffs very easily, the designer can do their stuffs very easily, the tester can do their stuffs very easily. You should have the requirement clear in your mind. You got my point. Now we're going to analyze the product, right? So how you going to analyze the product, right? How you going to think about the product? What is the possible way, right? So first things I will analyze, right? What is the domain of the product? What is the domain of the product? Now Anthony, what is the domain? What is domain? What are the different types of domain we have?
As far as the product, or you mean in domains in general,
Domain in general.
like .org, .com, .net?
No. Khola, what are the domains we have? Khola, can you hear me? I think yes. Is Khola, can you hear me? I think
Ankit, can you hear me? I'm not muted, so you should be able to
yeah.
hear me.
I can hear you now
You
clearly.
can hear me. Okay, sorry. Healthcare,
Exactly.
e-commerce, insurance, banking,
Exactly.
customer relations, HR, those things.
Exactly. So these are the different domains we have, right? So first we need to understand which domains our application is about, right? Then who gonna use our application? Who are the end users, right,
The
of our
consumer.
application? Consumer, yeah. Then what else you can think when you analyze any product, right? If you want to let's suppose if I give you, okay, you need to taste the e-commerce website or healthcare website, right? Then what else you can think in your mind? What is the domain of the product? Who are the end users? Then how is going to work? How it's going to be work, right? What is the end-to-end normal flow, right? Then what else you can think with respect to the performance testing, guys? Just think on that. I will just say one thing: what software and hardware it required, right? These things we can mention. Suppose if I want to use this Eclipse, right? You can see the Eclipse. Let me first change the color of these things. Okay. Now suppose if you want to access this Eclipse, right? This is my Eclipse where I write the Java code, where I write the Selenium code and all those things, right? To work on the Eclipse, what I required, I first required the software, different software. I required Java to be installed. I required Selenium to be installed. I required few things to be installed. That is my software requirement to work on the Eclipse. Now, what is my hardware requirement? My hardware requirements, I need at least 2 GB free in my C drive to install the Eclipse. I need at least, I will just say, good internet speed when I connect any web-based application via Eclipse. I need the internet connectivity. So these are my hardware requirement for the application, right? So before starting any application, what you do, you review the requirement in detailed way, right? Then you decide what parameters you need to do testing, right? Then second steps, what you can do, you can develop your test strategy, guys. If anything is not making sense, just raise your questions. So second things, what you do once this is finished, analyzing is finished, you go with the requirement document, you understand the product, who are the end users, how the application is going to be work, what is the hardware and software requirement. Then the next steps you will do, develop the test strategy, right? How you can develop this test strategy now, right? So there are few things you need to understand. What are the strategy? That means you are doing the sub planning, I will just say, right? You are doing the sub planning, how the scope of the application, right? So when I just say scope of the application, that means suppose if you have in application, right, you have 300 requirement, right, from the from the customer, but you just says, okay, not all of them we require to be testing, we only require 250 to be testing, right? 250 required to be tested. That is called in scope requirement. In scope requirement from tester side, right? Now another 15 requirement, they're gonna test by their self, or they're gonna hire some third party person to do the testing. That is called out of the scope for testing, right? So this is how you can define the scope, right? You can define the scope of the application. So I will just say scope of testing in the test strategy, right? What else you can do? What else you can do, guys? Just think on that. What else you can do? Okay. Now along with these things, right, you can also say I will define what type of testing I need to follow. Type of testing, I need to follow only functional testing, or I need to follow the non-functional testing as well, right? So this is can be decided in the test plan itself at the beginning of the project, right? Type of testing. Okay. Then what else you can do, guys? Just think on that. As a part of developing a strategy for any application to test, right? What else you can do? You identify the testing types, what you need to follow, what you need to do, right? Then what else you can do?
Technology selection.
Yeah, that is the part. Yeah, tool selection. You can just say tools and technology selections, right? So I will just write down over here, right? So that's a good point. Very good point. Technology, logy, or tools. I will just say tool selection, right? So we will decide, okay, we are going with Jira or ALM, right, or any other tools for the test management, and we are going with the Selenium or QTP, right, for the automation and all those things. So that is all the tools and technology that we're gonna select is also come under over here, right, in the test strategy. Good point, Hamid. Now what is else we can think, guys?
I don't know. Honestly, seems like you've got it all covered.
No, I
I don't
think
know.
What do you
Ali.
think about the feasibility study before we start doing all this?
Yeah, so that will come under the first phase, right? If it
First
that
phase,
is,
yeah.
yeah, first phase, right? That will come under the
Okay.
first phase.
How about like you already got function and non-function.
Yeah.
Um, I would say methods.
Black box and white box testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can also include that thing. That is good stuffs. Method we're gonna do. So sometimes we says, okay, as a part of tester, right? We are not gonna do the white box testing. We will keep that white box testing to the developer side, right? So for this project, we only do the black box testing, right? That is we can do. Then apart along with these things, right, we can also mention what are the different level of testing we're gonna do. So we just says level of testing, right? Level of testing. So what are the four level we have in the testing, Anthony?
So the levels of testing,
Yeah, different levels of testing.
the different levels of testing is the unit testing,
Yeah,
integration testing, and system testing, and acceptance testing.
exactly. Unit testing, system testing, integration testing, and UAT testing, that is user acceptance testing, right? So we can mention all those things in the strategy. Develop a test strategy when we are developing the test strategy. You got you got my point.
Mhm.
Now what else we can do in these things? I will just say this is pretty much good, right? Then we will do the risk analysis, right? I'm just talking from my test plan. So I will do the risk analysis. analysis, right? I will just say risk analysis. So what is in the risk analysis we do, guys? So first things we will check the number of resource we have, right? So suppose if somebody leave the project right in the middle of the project, or something goes wrong with the tester itself, right? Then how we gonna avoid that risk? You got my point. So we need to understand the risk analysis at that point. What we will do actually to analyze those criteria when somebody is not able to work in the our application and all those things, right? So that is called the risk analysis. Then what else you can think? What are the risks involved to do the testing, right? So what else risk you will think in your mind? Some events that will happen, right, as a part of the again the number of resource or resource is not available. The other risk I will just say is the skill in the resource, right? Let's suppose I hire someone, right, to do the automation testing, but now that guy is leaking on the technical side, right? He's not getting the point in that much of detail, right? So we cannot just straight away says okay, okay, do one thing, start searching for another project, right? We will do okay, do one thing as part of our company employee or the candidate improvement. We have the training program. So you can do one thing, you can join the training for your current role, right? If you're doing with the Selenium plus Java, right, and you are not able to do your stuffs very clearly, just start your training, right? And whatever the training amount will be, the company will pay for it once you achieve the certification. You got my point. So many big company will allow their employee to learn something by their free time, not in the working hours, right? They can learn in the weekends or in the off hours and achieve the certification and submit that certification to the company, and they will get the reimbursement for the training cost, right? So that is one of the things we will make sure if the resource will have the proper skill or not, right? Then what else we have a risk. So risk in budget, right? Suppose if we have low budget project, right, and we are hiring too many candidates in the team, right? So it's going to be high budget project, right? So that is again the risk. As a part of the as a part of the project manager or as a part of the test lead, right? You need to make sure you just concern of on all of those things, right? The budget, you will just make sure the budget is within a given by the management or not, right? Then I will just say is when you do the testing, right? When you do the testing, that means you need to also make the risk on the let's suppose now we will talk, this is about the functional side, we will talk about the application, right? You should have the proper internet connectivity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Suppose if you are working from home, right? Nowadays people are working from home. So if you're working from company, then it's a responsibility of company to provide you the proper internet connectivity, right? But if you have seen, the company will also keep the backup plan. If something, if the power outage will happen, right, they will turn on their wi-fi's, right, their routers and dongles and all those things. So now when even though if we working from our home, right, we have our wi-fi. Let's suppose if something goes wrong with the wi-fi, what is the backup plan we will have? We will use our mobile internet, right? We'll use the internet from our mobile, we'll connect to our laptop, and then we start using it, right? So that is again the risk and how to overcome. So that is one of the risks you can consider, right? So you always have to make the proper internet backup and internet connectivity, right? So these are the few risks. We can have many things, but this is as of now, we let's keep focus on those stuffs. Okay. Now what is the next thing, the criteria? I will just I think test criteria, right? Test criteria. So there are two criteria mainly. We will have the entry level criteria and exit level criteria, right? So what is test criteria, that we need to define, right? Now this is the steps where it will indicate when tester need to start testing of the application, right? That is called entry criteria. Tester need to start testing of the application, right? And this is exit criteria. Tester need to stop the testing process. So Hamid, when the entry criteria will achieve, when tester should start the testing?
When the developer will provide us with the product and we'll start the testing on it.
Exactly. So first thing that when the developer will provide the product to for the testing, right? But we also make sure if we have 100 requirements, right? If we have 100 points, then my criteria says developer should finish at least 16 points to give build for testing, right? this is
Correct.
not this is not you can do developer finish one first requirement and you do the testing for one requirement, then the developer will come up with the another requirement and you do the testing of another requirement. No. So this is my criteria as part of the project, right? So developer, if we have 100 points, right, then 60% of points are resolved by the developer or it is developed by the developer, then and then we can start the testing. That is called entry of the testing, entry criteria of the tester, right? And what is the exit? Out of 16%, 16 points, once we finish testing of 95% of test cases, right? And all are good, all are pass, right? If 95% of test cases are pass, right, that means we are gonna says okay, we can exit from the testing phase and now we can hand over these things, we can hand over these things to the cloud engineer for their hosting, right? So this is the positive things. 95% of test cases are working fine. That means we are good to go with the deployment or we are good to go with the next steps. We can do the that steps. What we can call the customer for the UAT testing now, right? So this is the criteria we need to make sure when you work as a tester, right? You cannot start testing with the minimum of the number of test cases they finish, right? So you need to mention this point as well in the test plan itself. Then again we need to also check another thing is resource planning, right? Resource planning, so that means number of testers we will have, right? Experience level they have, if they are manual tester, if they are automation tester, right? Like what are the team size, right? We have one QA lead or team lead or test manager, right? Then we have three developers, three testers, right? So this is how you can define the team size. So everything you need to mention in your test plan. For this particular project we required 7 resource and these are the different role and responsibility of 7 resource, right? So that is come under the test plan. Test plan as a resource planning, right? Then what other we will just says the system for testing we required, right? So I will just say system planning. As I told you, right, in the STLC, so it says okay, we required one normal systems or system. And when I just say system, that means laptop or desktop for the testing, right? We required one normal laptop or desktop with the normally we will put the hardware configuration 2 GB RAM, this basic configuration we required to do the testing on this application. So that desktop we can also mention in our in our test plan. Then what else you can say, guys? That is also called the planning of the test environment, right? Test environment planning, this is also called the test environment planning, guys. What server you required, what client machine you required, right? Then what you can do, okay, you can do the estimation. uh, you can do the estimation of the estimation. I will just write down over here estimation of milestone, right? So I will do the test requirement analysis for 180 hours, right? Then test designing, this is complete STLC, guys, 150 hours. Then test execution will take more time, so I will just say 240 hours. Then test reporting, it will take 100 hours, right? So this is how you can do the estimation of your testing, right? How many hours, right? Hours you required, right? On the different stage of the testing, right? So this is also you can mention in the test plan itself, right? So everybody will clear to do the requirement analysis for this project, we required at least 180 hours. Now you can also, if you want to enhance this point, right, what you can do, I need two resource, yeah, two people, two-person from the test team, two tester to do the stuffs, right? Then two tester to design the test cases, right? Then two tester. This is effort we have decided based on the number of testers, right? So if two tester will work, right, they can finish the designing in 150 hours. If two tester will work, they will finish the requirement analysis in 118 hours. If we have three tester, then they will finish the testing in 240 hours, right? So this is what you need to understand. As a, you can also put this information in your test plan, right? So many things, once you play all those things, then one of the crucial things, right, what is a test deliverable? Test deliverable, right? So at the end of the testing, I will give you the submit the test plan, I will submit the test document like test cases, right? Then I will submit the requirement RTM document. We will talk about the RTM document later, but this is my test things, right? I will also submit the test data, what test data we have used for testing. So everything we can also mention what is a part of the deliverable from the testing team, right? So once test team will finish their testing, they will submit this information to the management, their test plan, their test cases, their RTM document, and their test data they have used, right? So everything will consider as a part of test planning, guys. You got my point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we are near to finish, and I think it's pretty much good for today's, right? So I will send you the assignment of today's in the WhatsApp chat itself. Okay, guys? Simply you need to create a test plan for the Amazon.com. You need to create a test plan for the eBay.com, or take any application, right? LinkedIn, Facebook. But you need to create a test plan which contain all these parameters, right? Just prepare one test plan. Okay, this is the part of the assessment. Okay,
Sounds good.
Ali, all good?
Yes, all good.
Yeah. Refer internet, anything on the internet, and try to prepare the good, wonderful test plan. You can take a help from the Google as well. Okay, but and take any application that you prefer, right? But mention all those things in the well-structured way. Okay, guys.
Sounds good.
I will share this video recording on your folders. You can also watch this video. Okay, and we will have next session on Saturday.